All right, today we're throwing in this model 2250 Fan-Tastic Vent. These things are really great. They can pull off a 12-volt system, really aren't pulling that much energy off your battery, so you can use them while you're boondocking to stay cool, keep the air moving. On your rig right here, y'all are gonna have 3 of them, so y'all just find decent weather and y'all can just unplug and go. It's a perfect setup. So yeah, and the vent that we're replacing this in already has 12-volt power run up there. So we just got to switch it out, maybe modify a 14 by 14 inch hole and drop it in, make sure it's sealed up. Good to go, move on to the next part. Christmas morning. Beautiful. Alright, so here is the vent itself. It's a 12-volt hookup. Don't want to hurt that pretty stuff. And here's the trim piece. This is how you make it look pretty on the inside. Some instructions, roof mounting screws, adapters, keep that separate. All right, first thing we need to do is take out the old one. At it. So this is framed out. We'll have to see about opening this hole around this. So let's go ahead and get the top part off, then we can see what we're from the top, a better view of kind of how they have this framed in with this metal. All right, so to the roof. Yeah, so the easiest way to tap out some rivets, not tap them out, drill them out, just give yourself kind of a pilot point start, so you can tap it with a hammer right in the middle of the rivet. It'll give your drill bit something to kind of get into, so you're not bouncing all over the place. Makes quicker work of it, because those slight curves on them make them really hard to drill out without something to get a grip on. So that's what I'm going to go do, is drill out these rivets. There's probably some sealant around it, so I'm going to clean that up as well. That way when we put the new Fan-Tastic fan in, the gasket will have a nice smooth surface to give it a fighting chance to keep that water out. So right here. I mentioned earlier that the hardest part is starting the hole in the rivet to get it drilled out, but I think it's actually keeping your beard from getting caught in your drill while you're doing it. Luckily I catch it pretty quick. I'm just kind of walking my way around this vent hood right here, popping out all the rivets. Walking our way around. Then I'll pop that rivet on the inside. I'll start prying it up gently. Walk your fingers around. That was the most riveted vent I've ever seen in my entire life. But we got it. We got it. Just count all those rivets. Each drilled out. That's nuts. This thing was anchored in. All right, now we got to fabricate the hole for the new vent. The hard part is over. So we just got out the solid aluminum original vent, and we drilled about 40 rivets out on this thing. We're making room right now for this beautiful new Fan-Tastic vent, and we're going to make the hole 14 by 14 inch so we can drop this in, hook the electrical up, and then it's plug and play at that point. This thing will be ready to roll.
Yeah, you guys got serious delivery around here.
Really? Yeah. Okay. Is this a big, like...
So what are you discovering, Will?
So for the Fan-Tastic vent, we need a positive and a neutral line. So I'm just fishing out the neutral from the in-between space here is where all the electrical runs. And so it's just kind of freeing it up, making it accessible so I can splice off of the neutral.
Oh.
All right, so I'm gonna line this up and mark my template with Sharpie. So I wanna make sure it's in line with the trailer, as well as maximizing the hole that's already here. You can see I have some aluminum metal shears. We're gonna see if we can just cut this piece out. All right, so I know for sure we're the closest here. Let me start on this line. Let me cut new wires. Nice spider. Nice bug. He's been here since 1983, from the taste of it. Awesome. To get the hole right up here,
Yeah.
I'm just going to take this drill bit and mark these corners. Then when I set this down on top, we'll have our corners marked out. Right now I'm marking the outline from my 4 pilot holes that I drilled. So I just align the corners on there, marking it in Sharpie. Then I'll have a really easy template to just kind of cut. At that point, this is just going to drop in, and we'll wire it up, make sure it's running off the electrical, and then throw a little bit of the putty gasket. I don't know the official name. Throw that underneath there, anchor it in there, seal it up, put the trim piece in. So those are the next steps, and this should go pretty quick with this angle grinder. So now I'm gonna go grab it. I'm gonna drop it in, do a little test fit, hook it up, and then we'll seal her in if she's good to go. The template drops right in, so I think we got the right cut here. All right, there she goes. All right, she's set right in there. So now from the inside, I'm gonna hook up the electrical, just make sure that we got that good before we anchor it in for the final sitting. All right, so we're almost there. So the original fan was run off of just one hot, and it's usually grounded to the frame. This one has a neutral, so we're going to splice into one of our neutrals that's running right next to it. This should be a quick splice job. We don't need this to be as long. So we spliced her in, hooked her up to the hot. Let's test her out. Let's get this open. There we go. All right, so she's ready to be sealed up and screwed in. This is awesome. All right, final step. We can throw that trim piece in there. Make her look real nice. So we throw some electrical tape on this so we can toss these back in there. So when I seal in these Fan-Tastic vents, I like to use this Mortite. It's a waterproof caulking cord, and it sticks real nice. It's like putty in texture. It fits real nice underneath the lip here. And when you put in your screws that grab, you can see it just kind of push out. And you can see it makes a waterproof barrier between the vent and your roof. And we haven't had any of them leak using this technique, in addition to going back with some lap seal, just kind of covering the edge and the screws themselves. We've never had a leak with it. Now, another thing to mention, orientation is super important with these things, these vents. There's a hinge where the lid will raise up and down. You always want that vent facing your direction of travel, so the front of your trailer. If you put them in backwards, they're going to catch the wind on the road, and you're going to break these things right off. So if you have the hinge facing forward, the wind's just going to keep pushing it down, and you're perfectly good to go. So right now I'm just going to put this cord underneath it and screw them in. Yeah. All right, so I basically stuck this this putty caulking. You can see how well it's fitting right here. When I put this in place and put those screws through it, it's gonna grab and just kind of squeeze it out, create a really nice waterproof barrier that it's really good, as good as you can get. And as you can see, I've covered every square inch of the lip, so that's just reinforced waterproofing. All right, so I'm gonna set it in, get it back in place. There we go. All right, make sure my hinge is on the right side, and I'm going to start putting screws. I'm just using some hex head screws and an impact driver, and you got to make sure not to strip them. So you got to go in real slow. You know, once it grabs, you'll see it grab, and go slow until you see it ooze out the side. So you know that you still have a good grip with your screw, but it's squeezing it. It's pulling that, pulling the aluminum towards it. I also like to start with the corners too, and then work around that. Last step is to put this trim piece in. We fitted it. It's taken some time to kind of finesse it in there, but now we've got it to where we know it can go in. So as you can see, with it pushed up as far as it can go, we have this drop down, and that's just because it's hitting the top side of the the outside shell. So I'm going to mark it with a measuring tape. I'm going to mark it right here as well, so that I know kind of how deep it is in these different spots. So I'm marking on the back side here. That way I don't accidentally, if one side's higher or lower, we don't end up with a gap. So I'm going to mark this, but this isn't our final cut. This is just a roof line mark. Okay, I'm going to take this down. Mark this as front. Back. Yeah, I actually do have my measuring tape. That's very convenient. Alright, so I'm going to measure this. So I'm going to need at least, what is that, 1 5/8 inches. So here, we're only showing we need 1 inch, but this is going to pull up actually. I'm showing 1 inch depth. 1 inch. 1 inch. This is 1.25 inches, inch. Okay, and we have about 1.5 inches up here. So I'm gonna mark this 1.75 inches, and if we have to go back and trim it up even more, that's okay, but we don't want to overcut. So I'm gonna mark this 1.75 inches from the base and go ahead and make that cut. We'll be right back. It should be perfect. Airstream, you have a curved ceiling. Well, they're not making things designed for curved ceilings for most products. So one thing you can do is get different height boards that you can push the ceiling down. You're basically making it flat in this area. These skins are highly pliable. So this is perfectly flat. Now, when you go and put in your piece, instead of having a huge gap here in the center that tapers off to the sides, you're level. Boom. Pro tip. All right, these finishing steps, just taking the cover off the plastic. And then we're gonna use this lap sealant. This is really good stuff, highly recommended. And we just put a bead around the edge and over the screws to make sure that water can't really soak in anywhere. And then we're done. This thing's gonna be waterproof for a long time. I'm gonna take my finger and rub that in.
And with that, we are finished with this installation of a Dometic Fan-Tastic Vent model 2250. Thanks for watching. I hope you're able to take something from our experiences and use them to improve your own installations. Catch more renovations on our YouTube page, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, keep on trailer trashing.